friends. Welcome back to the Sioux Coach Cast with Jim Glogowski. I'm your host, Chad Birger. I'm joined today by Coach Glow from the USF Cougars, as well as my co-host, Sammy Dooyema. So, Sam, Coach Glow, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good today.
Lot different than the 7 days ago when we got together. So, we'll go ahead and start here, Sam, to go ahead and take us through the results from Saturday.
Absolutely. So the Sioux coming out on top with a 40-36 win over MSU-Mankato, moving them to 4-2 overall, 3-2 in the conference, and handing the number 7 ranked Mavericks their first loss of the season. Tight game to start, 9-9 after the first quarter. USF would score 2 touchdowns in the second quarter to head into halftime with a 23-9 lead. Following halftime, we rolled into that third quarter. Minnesota State would put up 2 touchdowns. USF would put up 1 to make it 30-23. Fourth quarter, very back and forth, but USF coming out on top with a final score of 40-36. And we'll have Coach kind of break that all down and give us your thoughts on the game, Coach.
Well, obviously a big win. All the things we've talked about, very emotional. Certainly spent a lot of time at Mankato. A lot of respect for the coaching staff and the kids there. And, at the end of the day, it's not really about me. But, I got guys on my staff, half my staff coach there. Coach Cap coached there. Coach Johnson coached there. Coach Bozen spent time there. So pretty unique. Obviously, Cam Dean started and played games and won games for Minnesota State. Aiden DeVolder started and played games, our tackle. Matt Gehring, redshirted there, left after the first semester to come here with me. And then a slew of guys that had either committed or whatnot were recruited by us and Mankato that came here. So, there's no justification or things like that. It's more or less, just a good vibe for the kids when they work really hard. And we're trying to build this program, and we are still trying to build the program. But I made this comment a little bit to some folks that it's like when you go golf. I'm a terrible golfer. I like the idea of golfing. I like to see myself golfing really well, but I get out there and I don't golf very well. But then all of a sudden, I crush a drive, right? Right down the middle, 300 yards, sounds great, feels great, and I want to keep playing golf. And I think Saturday had that effect on us. We love football. We get down to the dumps after 2 losses, but man, Saturday was like hitting a shot true right down the middle of the fairway, get you excited about playing more golf. And that's, I think, injected us with some excitement and some, I'm not going to say it verified what we've been doing here because I think the kids are already bought in and they believe, but it just gave us a nice shot down the fairway, and it gets us some momentum going into the second half of the season. And I told the kids that, at halftime on Saturday, we were exactly halfway through the season, and we just have to be us. That's what I told them before the game. So I told them at halftime. And then after the game, I just said I was proud that we were us. We won this thing on our terms. We didn't have to do anything crazy. We just outplayed them. And, that's what you'd like to see as a head football coach.
All right. Well, Sam, go ahead and take us through the scoring summary for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite the shootout we had on Saturday. So we got some scores to work through here. Like I said, first quarter ended up being 9-9. USF leading the way with a Nick Hernandez 35-yard field goal following a 14-play, 70-yard drive that took almost half that first quarter to start. Then Hank Brown Jr. had a big 64-yard pass from Camden Dean for another quick score. PAT was blocked and making it 9-0. And then interestingly enough, that was a 97-yard PAT return for the Mavericks there. So they were able to squeeze 2 points out of that Cougar special teams mistake. And then Gabe Hagan had a 42-yard pass from Hayden Eckern to tie the game up, going 3 plays and 75 yards. As we went into the second quarter, USF was able to tack on a little bit more. Camden Dean had a 1-yard touchdown run. The 2-point conversion would fail, but that was following a 68-yard, 6-play drive for the Sioux. And then another 14-play, 70-yard drive, and again, another 7-minute drive for the Sioux. And we're going to break down some of this in the coaches clicker. Some of these long drives really speaking to how well the offensive line played, ending with a Carter Slykow 6-yard touchdown pass from Dean. And the Sioux headed into the half with that 23-9 lead.
Yeah, so Coach, you guys are up 23-9 at halftime. First quarter, kind of dominated the first half, other than that kick return, and then they had the one drive. But what do you tell the kids at halftime when you have a lead like that?
Well, I remember on the bench right before halftime, kind of telling them we got to go earn our respect a little bit, because they went for it instead of kicking the field goal. And points are at a premium no matter what. And kind of surprised that they went for it on fourth down right before halftime. And that was a huge stop. I want to say it was our second or third fourth down stop of the first half. And we were just telling ourselves to keep doing what we're doing. The thing that's probably the most exciting was our ability to maintain the ball and drive the field. Obviously, we took some shots. We hit some balls down the field. There was a blown coverage on the one that we took advantage of. A really kind of a cool insight. I don't know if you have this clip on the clicker, but on that pass to Carter Slykehouse that comes up later on, those guys, our guys were on point. So they saw the blitzing linebacker, and he notified the quarterback. Quarterback saw it, knew we were going to get a guy blitzing off the edge for free. He ended up getting the ball out before he got there, which is what he's got to do. He took the shot, kid caught the ball, and we go. So that was kind of sums up our whole day, where our kids were locked into the things we talked about during the week. Hopefully we can keep that mentality locked in, not just when it's a big game on the road. That was an electric environment. I mean, there was almost 7,000-8,000 people there, the second largest crowd in the history of MSU Blakesley Stadium. It's incredible. I had no idea where to enter the stadium. I'd never entered the stadium as a visitor. They locker you on the other side of the indoor track, so you got to walk all the way around the building. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff about it that it's interesting, and the guy letting us in is Dylan Loft, whose dad, Kelly Loft, you guys probably know, is the SID up at Southwest Minnesota State. And so he's like giving me the sneaky little bumps, as we walk in the gate. So just a lot of cool stuff like that. But I just thought in the first half we came out and Nick Hernandez hitting that field goal, maybe one of the bigger plays into the wind, right? Because the wind was crazy. And, I've been in a lot of games there, and the wind was shifting from different directions, from left to right and all that. And so as much as we worried about the wind in the Bemidji game, for whatever reason, we were just, as a staff, we were locked in. The wind made no difference to us. We just played. We didn't talk about it at all. Nick went out and kicked the field goal. Man, look at the wind. The flag's blowing. It was a pretty impressive field goal. And then we got off to a good start. And then, the extra point, man, we had a tough snap. I think he rushed it a little bit. The kid blocks it. And then we have three guys standing there. And it looked like instead of tackling the guy, we tried to pick the ball up and give them credit for scooping and scoring. But that was a pretty holy cow moment. Instead of being up 10-0, now you're a touchdown away from being tied, which, to their credit, and we knew they weren't. That's the best offense in the league, arguably. So we knew they weren't going to quit, especially at home. And I'll tell you what, man, when you're on the other sideline, that berm seems taller. The crown seems bigger. Their colors seem brighter. There's more people in the stands, and it feels like the whole thing's a tidal wave when they get emotion going. And we just had to withstand that. I knew that 23 points wasn't going to be enough to win it. We thought it'd take about 35, 38 points to win the game. And unfortunately, that's what it took. We were able to do it.
All right. So the Cougars came out in the second half. Sam, go ahead and continue through the scoring summary.
Yeah, absolutely. And glad you guys hit the over on that estimate there, Coach. We're going to do that with the 40 points. But yeah, Coup coming out.
Entertainment purposes only.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Entertainment purposes only. So Coup coming out and having a big 66-yard touchdown pass from Camden Dean to Slykehouse, 4 plays, 80-yard drive, quick hitter, scoring right away. Mankato would answer, just like Coach talked about. And frankly, I think all of us fans probably knew they would come fighting back too. Hagan had a 4-yard pass from Eckern following a 66 play drive. And then Tony Anger had a 3-yard run on a quick drive there. 30-23 heading into the fourth quarter. Got ourselves a 1-score game. And so USF putting together a 10-play, 75-yard drive and ending with a Mark Leonard 5-yard touchdown pass. And then Mankato would answer with a Christian Vassar 22-yard touchdown run. And then the Coup putting together one final scoring drive, getting some points out of it that ended in Nick Hernandez 24-yard field goal. And then Mankato would get one more score here with a Grant Guyett 7-yard touchdown pass from Eckern, but the PAT was no good. And there's a little bit of fireworks at the end, but it ended up with a 40-36 final score. Coup on top.
Yeah, and it's funny because they had an extra point hit the upright. We had an extra point that went too far left. And again, I'm not excusing either one of those kickers. Obviously, they can both make them. They have a good kicker too, but that win's tough. I think that definitely played a role in the kicking game. I think that played a role in us going for it on 4th down. I'm sure that question is going to come up. But when they missed the extra point and put us up by 4, we were trying to win the game, the 4-minute drill, right? And the one thing I think you see on the scoring summary is we were constantly stay ahead of them more than a score for most of the day. And we constantly kept the pressure on them and kind of kept them out of basically what Minot did to us last week, which we couldn't distance ourselves enough to put the clock as an issue. And when the clock's an issue, it changes how you call a game, right? Especially as the quarters wear down in the 4th quarter. So long story short, it's 4th and 4, and we thought about kicking it, but because of the nature of the wind and all that stuff and some of the struggles we had, the last thing I wanted is a huge momentum block punt or blocked field goal, and the ball being returned because you can't control that. We thought about making the field goal, right? And then, okay, so you're up by 7, you kick off, then it gives them the ability to return the kickoff, which we've been a little bit, unsure of ourselves on the kickoff stuff with the wind and all that. That's a little bit dicey. And so I just felt like at the end of the day, if they had no timeouts left and they had a minute to go, I just bet on our defense, just like Mary. And I felt like defensively we could stop them. I did. I felt like we could stop them defensively. Our staff was 100% on board. We talked it over. We thought we had a good play. The DN to the left, Maven Kretschy's a really good player. He got loose on us on the rush, got into Cam's face. Cam threw it because you got to. And, fortunately, we tackled the guy on the interception, and then we got going. Maybe the biggest play in the game might have been the 10-second runoff. They had an injury. But because they challenged a targeting foul, which was the cleanest hit I've ever seen, Andy Henson had, and he absolutely drilled that dude. They lost their challenge in the timeout, and so they had one less timeout, which caused the clock to stop. The 2-minute warning, whatever, came into play once again. I mean, man, there's just so much going on. And I just felt like we came to win the game, right? We didn't come to play tough and make it close. We didn't want moral victories. We talked about that last week, right, or 2 weeks ago. We were going to win the football game. And I just feel like if I was a player and I was being coached, I would want the head football coach to give me the chance to go win the football game. Because whether you throw it or run it, we do those things every day. Those aren't things we don't ever do. And I think that's what drives me crazy. People be like in the media, not you guys for certain, but people in the media, they'll say things like, oh, this, that, and the other thing. Well, we do that every day. We run those plays every day. They're college football players. They're on scholarship. They practice. I expect them to make those plays. And they can't make the plays if I don't give them an opportunity to make them. And we're going to win a football game. It's not me making decisions. It's the kids making plays with us on the same page. And our football team, the one thing I'll say about us and our culture is if we're going to make a decision, we decided to drive to Mankato the day of the game, right? Normally you go the night before in the hotel. We did not make any excuses. That wasn't going to be the reason why we lost the game. If we're going to go win a football game, let's go win a football game. We stopped at the Quick Trip in Wyndham to get a little break on the way up. And I just remember standing outside. We were joking around. They got a little like water retaining pond there. And Caleb Brasher, who's from, he's a big Bama fan. He's all bummed out, but he's from down there in the South. He's all like fired up about, I thought he was going to paint his face and go kill a duck when we're sitting on the side of the road waiting for a Quick Trip break. And then we're laughing and joking. And like, it's just, I'm like, let's go win this game. Like, that's what we kept saying. Let's go win this game. So when you get in that situation, we weren't playing to hopefully not get beat because if they kick they score a touchdown, they're going to tie us. We were thinking about winning the football game. And, I hope myself can stay true to that because I want our kids to feel like we go to win the game. We didn't go to get up by 7 in case they score, it's tied. And at the end of the day, if it's a 3-point game, completely different scenario, right? You kick it. But at the end of the day, they had to score a touchdown no matter what. And he probably would have gone for 2 anyways. So it still would have came down to one play. So in my mind, if it's going to come down to one play, let me call it. Let me put it in our kids' hands versus if you're defensively trying to stop them. I just liked our odds, and I liked the way our offense played, and they earned the right to win the game. And so, it worked out. Luckily, it worked out, right? But I think it worked out because we played our tails off for 60 minutes.
That's football. Let the record show, Coach. We definitely don't claim to be media. I think we're former football players first, and offensive linemen at that.
No, Birger.
Well, that's true. I kind of forgot about Birger's radio side gig. As a former football player and offensive lineman coach, I was all in on that decision. I say, give me the ball. I'm the guy pointing like, give me it. Let's go. Big dogs want to eat. We got to end this game. I'm all about that. So I don't know.
Birger. Burger's a sneaky, like he's got sneaky ambitions to be on SportsCenter someday. So I can see the way he weighs that.
Analytics. I'm all gut feeling. He's the stats guy.
So I have no illusions of ever being on Sports Center. I'll bring this up. I played offensive line at USF back in the 1900s, early 2000s. And I've been a part of the radio crew ever since 2016. So I am kind of a part of the media. But yeah, one of those things. Coach, in the third quarter, I was standing on the sideline as a part of my radio gig. And you turned to me at one point. I think it was when USF was ahead 30-9 or somewhere around there. And you said, hey, no matter what happens the rest of this game, it's going to be one heck of a coup coach cast on Monday.
I also told the refs on that they weren't winding the clock as fast as possible. And I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody out there, but I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Are we union? What are we working by the hour here? Let's go, man. You get flat fee here. You don't get no extra money for this thing taking longer. And they laugh about that. And, you see these, that's the other thing about officiating. You see these crews, right, over and over again, and it's a thankless job. And this week they got it right on the targeting call. Andy Ensign's first hit was not targeting. It was a great form tackle. The second one, his head got in there because the player was hit ahead of time, and Andy's going to make the tackle, and he just got to keep his eyes up. But those guys do a great job, so I could mess around with those guys a little bit too. But it's funny, the director of officials, Justin Ingalls, he refereed games when I played. That's the crazy part. And of course, we all know that Tom was the play-by-play guy for the Coyotes when I was a player. So yeah, I got a soft spot for officials and media guys.
Glad to hear that, Coach. So I want to bring up next, I want to go into the coach's clicker to start off. And the first play that I have here is just a generic, it's first drive of the game, a run play. And of course, Mankato's mom, one of the moms or fans here, was fired up at the beginning of the play. But Cougars come out, 3 receivers on the top side, and just decide to run a little bit of, a normal play that we see every week. It's one of those zone reads a little bit, got a pulling center on this one. And Mankato kind of falls for, they go after the running back a little bit. But one of the things I wanted to point out on this play, Coach, is the offensive line is doing a great job of caving guys down, and the receivers are getting on their blocks.
Yeah, here, this is crazy, right? Not to give away all of our secrets, but if you rewind to the beginning, this is a pretty typical zone read play. And so people say, okay, well, who are you reading? So Cam is looking at the defensive end on the top of the screen there. Okay. If that defensive end comes down inside, then he pulls it and runs. If the defensive end freezes and doesn't move, then Cam hands the ball off. He probably should have gave it here, because if you watch this play develop, the puller is going to seal the backer coming around the corner. You'll see how he's going to see that bottom backer there. He's going to make that backer get stuck inside the block. And if he gives this thing off, Bubba might be gone. But it's a weird read, because look at the defensive end. You see how his arm is extended there on the offensive lineman there? I wish we had like a little laser or something, but he's got his arm and his shoulders are turned slightly. Well, as far as Cam sees that, he thinks he's chasing the handoff, so he pulls it. So really, he couldn't be wrong on this, either pull it or give it. But then the perimeter blocking, and it's hard, right? Because these guys you don't want to hold, and you really don't have great leverage on them, but they just got to get on them and occupy them enough so Cam can get by. And then Cam's got really good feet, and then he does a great job of getting vertical right here, not bouncing outside. And that's just and he gets a little excited here and gets up for the first down. But this is the complexity of offense versus a defense, where we have some other plays too, where instead of blocking the perimeter, he can throw it. And that's your true RPO, right? Your run pass option. But to me, just a really good football play. And the way they were playing this, we had not put 3 receivers into the boundary like that. So when you put 3 guys to the short side of the field, it reminds me back in the day of watching Nebraska football, and they would run option into the boundary, and people in the media would get all in an uproar about, why are you running the ball to the short side of the field? Well, it's a numbers game, right? And it's not about space. It's about bodies and numbers. And can we get bodies on bodies to where they can't get us? The field space doesn't matter as much. So this is a great example where they've got their safety high on the 32-yard line and their other backers in the box. So we're going to get hats on hats. And if we get hats on hats, all 3 guys, the farthest guy away from the football who's unblocked is going to be that safety on the 32. And he just can't get there fast enough to prevent a big play. So this is a really good numbers game, if that makes sense. See that? So you got 3 on 3. The furthest guy away is the safety. Now, the linebacker kind of gets off a block or whatever, but on the grease board, you got enough guys hats for hats, or as a guy that I used to work for, used to say, hats for bats. If you have enough hats for bats, you can cover them up and they can't get to you.
Yeah. Well, excellent execution. Cougars took the ball, actually, held Mankato to punt on their first drive, and then took this first possession, 7.5 minutes down the field and kicked that field goal to go ahead. I thought that was kind of a set the tone type of drive for the game for the Cougars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great start.
All right, so let's bring up the next play we have here. This is the one you kind of mentioned earlier, but this play kind of the same look the other way. You got 3 receivers on the bottom side of the screen now.
Yeah.
And you kind of give some action in the backfield. So, you got the pulling lineman here. You got the fake handoff to the running back. It looks very similar to the previous play, correct?
Yes, exactly. So now we've gone to the field here, right? And now you got the spaces. It's the same idea. You've got 3 guys for 3 guys, and their safety's on the snout of the MAV up there, right? About the 48-yard line. And so it's still now a different idea. And typically when you do this, now it's a throwing scenario, right? You're either throwing it out there or running it. But again, the puller, the read, and again, the defensive end now is engaged. Before he had one arm on the DN. Now we're looking at the defensive end at the bottom of the formation here, engage their tackle. As the play develops, you'll see how this winds up here. And so now the same action we had, now instead of them blocking, it's throwing. And they obviously misplay this because the safety, it looks like he's on the top of the Maverick now. He's chasing the run to the boundary. So the play action got him thinking run, and now he vacates the middle of the field, and now it's just pitch and catch.
Yeah, you've got two Maverick defenders kind of following this inside receiver on his out route, and no one picks up Hank Brown. And the cameraman actually got faked out on this one because, look at that. They thought it was a run play, so they start zooming in, and boom, next thing you know, Hank's running to the end zone.
Look at
Hank up there. There we go.
That little guy, man. He's awesome. A freshman, true freshman, scoring the first touch. Who would have thought back in August or a year ago when we got beat by Mankato that the first touchdown the following year would be scored by a true freshman out of Dowling Catholic High School in Des Moines, Iowa. That's just, and look at the kids excited for him. Look at all the guys. Remember you talked about that at Minot, the first touchdown, a little different experience, the first touchdown in this game. So you guys don't even know this, but our guys probably watch this and they're probably motivated by you saying we weren't celebrating the end zone, Sammy. So, but look at this. I mean, and the funny part is they had to run about 10 times further than this one than they did in the Minot game. So motivation is a funny thing, you know what I mean? But every guy's down. You can't even see Hank. Look how little that little guy is in that big pile of dudes. It's just so fun, so exciting, and fortunately we were able to keep it up. But good design by Looters and the crew on offense, and execution. You can draw up all the great plays you want, but if he doesn't see Hank and throw it on time, and Hank doesn't catch it, we're not having this fun conversation right now.
Next play I wanted to bring up here, Coach, defensive play, and it's good defensive play. So this is 4th down in the second quarter. USF's up 15-9 at this point. You've got a 4th and about 3 yards on this one, and Mankato kind of goes with trips to the top side. They've got a tight end and a wing back here down on the bottom side of the screen, and they decided that they thought maybe running Hayden Eckern to the right side was going to be doing a little zone here was going to be their best option.
Yeah.
And so
this is ironic. Let's talk about this. Sorry, not to cut you off, but this is ironic. This is almost the exact same play that we ran. The difference is the running back is now lined up at the bottom as an extra blocker. So now without the ball fake to the running back and the quarterback, there is no threat of the quarterback going to the right. He's going to go to the bottom here. And we, that pre-snap. And so this was a big call for these guys. Hayden's a big kid. Again, this is just, we call this power. The backside guard pulls around, but instead of having the ball fake to the field and the quarterback following the puller, now we're getting, because it's the same play we ran. The difference is we had the ball fake to the boundary and the quarterback pulled it to the field, right? That's exactly what we did. Literally going the same direction 2 plays earlier you showed. But now with that running back up blocking as a tight end now, it takes the threat of any other option here. And so now our defensive end on top can rip across the offensive tackle's face instead of sitting waiting for the pull by the quarterback to the field, if that makes sense what I'm explaining. And so
Isaiah Ward does come through and
rips across. Yeah, I don't know if we have the tight angle. I don't think we do. But if you watch the tight angle, Isaiah sees that and he rips across the face of that offensive tackle, which creates the illusion that the quarterback has to stay to the front side of the play. And then give a lot of credit to the boys up front. Dawson Rabe, and he was our player of the game, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but Francis Kumi. I mean, those guys, this is a big boy play. This is 4th and 2. They're trying to answer the call. You got to answer the bell. And Matt Gehring, a former MSU Maverick who transferred down here with me, and Garrett Hoffman, the walk-on turned scholarship player that nobody else wanted from Sioux Falls, converged to make a play, which, man, it's just good stuff, man. And I mean, just that sends a message that we're here to play today, right? That sends a message that you're gonna go strength on strength. And I said this, when Mankato starts running the quarterback, they're getting serious. Like, that's when they're serious. When they start, we call that +1 scheme, because when the quarterback carries the football, there is no longer a wasted guy with the handoff. He catches the ball. It's like the old Wildcat, right? And so just a lot of credit to our kids to physically just say, you know what, not right now and not right here. And fortunately that, it made a big difference in the game, because this stopped the scoring back and forth and got us a chance to get up on it.
And so you drove the ball down all the way down the field, and here is the touchdown play. Looks very similar to a play that we broke down last week on the coach's clicker here. You've got Slykehouse kind of in a wing, offset back position in the backfield here on the right side. And he just goes across, you fake the handoff, and then swing it out to him. And the safety doesn't quite get over there in time. And Carter does a good job of fighting to get into the end zone here.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part, right? Okay, so this is unbalanced. So in theory, we don't have any valid receivers to the right side of the formation here, right? The receiver is in the backfield now. So now you give one of our more, dynamic playmakers a chance to run the football on a fly sweep, maybe get a pitch to the right, maybe get him in motion. And so we're trying to, and this is, again, Coach Luders does a good job getting our best players in position to kind of, be sneaky about it, right? And give them the ball in space. And Mark Leonard and, you got to have players like Mark and Adonis out there that are going to sacrifice. But technically, Mark Leonard, I don't know if he's on or off the ball, but one of those guys over there, either the tight end or one of those two receivers, cannot go out for a pass because they're covered up. So now you're challenging them in the box to see, do they recognize who's eligible, not eligible? So that's down the road setting plays up, So there's a lot going on here than just meets the eye. And as Cam runs this, if you let the play run, again, it's the same similar thing now. He's got the ability to hand this ball off, and this is your classic RPO, run pass option. He can hand it off, or if that defensive end charges, which it looks like he is, he just dumps it in the flat. And unfortunately, we let the defensive end see how he's got a hand up coming for Cam right now. He probably thought that guy was going to be able to chase down the handoff from behind, and they were blitzing the boundary, the field guy, and technically the kid's helmet comes off. He should have had to stop trying to tackle that guy as soon as his helmet came out. That's the other thing I was going to argue. If he didn't get in the end zone, then I was going to throw a fit and say, as soon as you lose your helmet in college football, you have to stop playing. If you continue to attempt to stop the play, it's a penalty. So that would have been an interesting dynamic if they had to call that. But yeah, just good stuff. And I don't think we had shown this formation before. So, you're constantly trying to make the defense handle adjustments, and that's what our offensive staff did a good job of on Saturday.
Yeah, put on my old coaching hat here, but it looks like Mankato, they have like 3 guys, on or outside the USF right side and man on the line of scrimmage here. And so really good play design, by you guys to go the other way.
Well, and it's funny, like when I explain football, like when I first met my wife, she was a basketball player at USD, and, she didn't really like football that much. But like now she wants to watch film all the time. And then if you guys saw her on Saturday, she's like yelling on the sideline and she's trying to coach him up. I'm like, honey, I love you more than anything, but you can't be telling our guys what to do out there. She's like, yeah, I know. I just get so fired up. I just wanted to win. I go, honey, I know. They know. But we can just – like she's hanging over the railing in the huddle, like literally. I'm like – and then I saw the postgame video somebody made, and she's in the postgame huddle. I'm like, she thinks she's the GM. I don't know what's going on around here.
Coach, she can do whatever she wants. Okay,
she is the GM, coach. You might want to try that.
She's the first lady of Cougar football. I don't know.
Yes, there we go.
There we go.
Out of bounds, man. That's fun.
All right, let me see if I can pull up the next play here. So we mentioned you guys went into the halftime with a lead, and then Mankato came out of half, and you guys. They kind of tried to go up top right away. They must have thought that they could get a little bit going on here. And so this was one of their first offensive plays of the second half. Take us through this defensive play here.
Well, they run the ball so well that they force you to kind of pack in your secondary and stop the run, right? You need the extra hats. And so it leaves your corners on an island sometimes where they're man-to-man. Number 6, really good player. Matter of fact, he was at Central Missouri when Coach Luders was down there. And when he went in the transfer portal, we were actively recruiting him. I thought we were going to get Trayshawn. He's an outstanding football player. But he's their main go-to guy in these double moves where it looks like he's going to stop his route and he takes off and runs again. They do a really good job of that. And I'll give Maloa and Joseph Sapp and Connor and Kane, those secondary corners. They did a good job of making him. We just didn't want him to get any cheap, easy throws and get behind us. There was a play later down our sideline where Joseph pushed him out of bounds. We just wanted to try to be physical with him, and we wanted to make him earn everything. And this is a good job by Maloa. Phenomenal feet. I don't know if you'll be able to see the angle here, but he kind of gets that inside move right there, and we call this a double move, right? He goes in to sell the dig route, and now Maloa's got to turn and run and play through the hands. He cannot panic. He cannot tackle the guy. And as the play develops, they were not happy about this, but this is a heck of a football play. He gets his hands in there and he throws his hands, and they're losing their minds now, right? They're all upset. They want a penalty, and I can see that. But it went both ways. They let both kids play all day long. Their guys and our guys. There probably could have been more penalties, but I think if you ask Coach Hoffner and myself, we'd much rather see our kids be able to play than getting ticky-tack calls. We ended up with 6 penalties, and they had 1. So we got the short end of the stick on that deal. But the thing I love about it is we've talked about this, talk about culture. Go find your teammate to celebrate. Don't turn to the sideline. Don't turn to Mankato. And I hope we'll continue to do that. That's really important to me. When we celebrate, go find your teammate because those guys helped you make that play. Don't act like you made it all on your own. And I think that's a couple of different times I noticed that on Saturday. We were running to our teammates to celebrate, which is what we want.
Yeah, and I thought just your ability to shut down number 6, as you mentioned, was just great. I mean, your defensive backs did a great job on Saturday. I could probably pull up about 4 different plays here, but we only have so much time, Coach.
Yeah, we don't want to go FCC regulations. We only got so much time.
Right. So here's our next play.
Prep, Coach.
So we gotta get more sponsors if we're going to go longer.
Yeah, exactly. So this is one you brought up earlier. The Slike
Oh
House.
yeah, this is the one. Yeah, with Carter. Yeah. So all week long, we had noticed when they bring their outside linebacker from the field, and he starts walking up here, number 10. When he gets that tight, they're not a big blitzing team. So when he crowds the line like he is here, it's a blitz. And you see Carter looking in, and he's going, Cam. And Cam's like gives him the nod. And we call this shoelace. All you got to do is break a shoelace tackle, and it's a touchdown.
Even for an old guy like Carter, he can still outrun all guys.
He said he come. And the funny part about that is that that's Nathan Drum chasing him. And Nathan's a really good football player, but Nathan is a year older than my son. And so Nathan had been over my house as a kid growing up. And, that's, you talk about the emotional connection, and, it was part of recruiting Nathan, and good kid and good player, but so many of those kids on that sideline. And, speaking of my son, he was in on his first college tackle. He was a ball boy for the Mavericks growing up as a little boy. And, he traveled this week, and he was actually on his kickoff team, and his mom, and we got pictures. I mean, for us, is a pretty cool deal. So I am a head football coach, and it's what I do, but I'm also a dad and a parent. And so I relate so well with our parents because I know how it feels. When my son, we brought a transfer in at his position, my wife, she's like, you brought a transfer at the same position our kid plays? I'm like, hey, should have had a better spring ball. I don't know. No, I just joke. I'm teasing. She didn't really say that. She's all about the Cougars, but the reality of it is that we experience the same things as parents that our kids' parents do, right? So I think it helps. But what a great play by Carter. And he's a kid that, man, we need Carter to play well for us to have a good chance to be successful. And for him and Cam to be on the page like that after only 17 games of playing together, I mean, that's what you're working for, that chemistry, and that's something that we don't coach. Those kids are taking it upon themselves. So that was really a positive play. And yeah, to the point about Carter, he came to the sideline. He's like, man, back in T, I'd look back after about 5 yards. There's nobody else there. He goes, I'm getting older or the kids are getting faster. I'm like, you're getting older, bro. You're definitely getting older. Yes. They're probably faster. But it was funny that he recognized that too, that the kid pursued.
Carter is a grad student right now. He's been around for a while between the COVID year, the redshirt year. I remember watching him last decade playing out here at T. So he's been around a while.
Yeah, you think about that. That dude's been playing around this area for 10 years. It's longer than most professional careers.
Yeah, and I'll say something about Carter. My kids, he actually worked at the after-school program when my kids were in elementary school, and so he used to watch my kids.
Crazy?
Yeah, and my oldest is a senior now, and he used to watch him, back in 5th, 6th grade or whatever it was. So
I can imagine Carter babysitting because if he's anything like the Carter I know now, He's probably lighting off fireworks, and he's just like, "Hey, man, don't burn anything down." That's the kind of just kind of like a low key guy.
So the Mavericks put up 2 touchdowns after that to kind of pull back within 1 score. But then you mentioned you guys did a great job of responding and getting it back, trying to keep that to a 2-score game. And so after a big drive to end the 3rd quarter, this is the first play of the 4th quarter for the Cougars. You come out in a really tight formation here.
Yeah, we've talked about the tush push that everyone's doing that nowadays, and we do have that in. There's certain times for it. We did do it. We motioned into the backfield, and Mark actually pushed Camden into the end zone, and then one of the touchdowns early on the game. But when you have that tight package and you're demanding attention on the inside run game, and then you have an athletic quarterback who's fast enough to get to the perimeter, and then it's just a pitch and catch, and he dumps it off. It's really good execution. And again, we sell the inside run hard. They bring the edge blitzer, but Mark's a special player too. I mean, it's fun. I'm just happy for these kids because we've had a couple tough breaks, as you guys know, the last couple weeks. And again, hand the ball to the referee. Dalton Wood, another tight end, comes over there celebrating. I mean, look at the end zone. I mean, it's just awesome to see these guys playing and enjoying the game. And it's obviously, I mean, let's not BS ourselves. It's a lot more fun when you're winning, right? We get that. But these kids deserve it. They worked really hard, and to have a signature win like this for our program, a year and a half into it, it's a really positive thing, and it doesn't mean anything for Saturday coming up, but it is just, if you were in our locker room, if you were there in the winter workouts, if you were there after being 3-8 and getting basically dominated by these guys less, a year ago, to come to their place and do that, the real ones, as they say, the guys that have been there since day one that went through it all with us and had to suffer through that last year, that was embarrassing. We got ran out of the joint at our home opener last year, and to come back and be able to compete with these guys who have a lot of respect for it, a top 5 team in the country, couldn't be more happier for Mark and all those guys.
Well, Coach, let's go ahead and honor our sponsor right now. See if I can get this pulled up here. Attention, USF Cougar fans. There's a new favorite spot for wings in Sioux Falls. Atomic Wings is now open at 1502 East 69th Street in Sioux Falls, just north of the USF Stadium. Atomic Wings offers customers fresh, never frozen, natural, and hormone-free chicken wings, hand-tossed in 14 proprietary sauces, a classic menu, a welcome dining experience, and a commitment to quality. Come watch sports and enjoy wings and a cold one at the self-serve beer station. They do have Sunday NFL ticket if you want to go in on Sundays as well. The menu includes traditional wings, boneless wings, chicken tenders, sandwiches, flatbreads, and salads. Also choose waffle fries, onion rings, mac and cheese, jalapeno poppers, mozzarella sticks, tater tots, or sweet potato fries as a side. And don't forget the dessert. Deep fried Oreos are amazing. There's something for everyone in the family at Atomic Wings. You can order online at atomicwings.com, download the app, or come on in. It's located at 69th Street, just north of the USF football stadium. Perfect for pregame tailgates or postgame celebrations with friends and family. So I've got the Atomic Wings here. I love taking friends out there. Sam, I think we're going to have to schedule a lunch there with you, just you and I.
Let's do it.
I can't come along?
Oh, sorry, Coach. I thought you were busy this week. You got a big game coming up. So in the spring and summer, we'll invite you, Coach.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll drop some off at the stadium, Chad.
I had my first Taco Tuesday with Birger this summer.
It's one of those things where I just have lunch with a lot of different people, but it's interesting. I actually had lunch with a Division I basketball official on Friday, but you kind of have to time those things up so you're not hitting during their season.
Where in the world is Kelly? Where's Kelly?
Yeah,
right?
he was eating lunch with me on Friday. Yep. So that was kind of neat. But yeah. Get lots of different people to go to lunch. But yeah, Coach, we'll definitely get you to lunch here, but we don't want to take you out for lunch and then, if the Cougars end up on the wrong end of the scoreboard, we don't want to be the reason why. So,
yeah, you don't want any liability. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at there. So Atomic Wings players of the game for this week, yes. Sam, go ahead and read those off.
Yeah, our Atomic Wings player of the game on offense was Dylan Rundigan. On defense, Dawson Raby, and special teams, Nick Hernandez. We gave all those guys a shout out, and we're going to break it down a little bit here in the stats as well.
Yeah, last week probably, quite frankly, it was probably a little tougher to find guys versus this week. Ton of guys. We talked about Cam Dean, Carter Slykehouse came to mind. The offensive line, thought about doing the whole line, getting 5 or 6 heads up there. I thought Mark played well. I think Tristan, Rianki did a nice job. I think at the end of the day, man, Hank Brown played well. The reality of it is you have to have a lot of guys play well to win a game like that. And I think with Dylan's case, 100-yard rusher, he got vertical. Him and Grizz combined had almost 160 yards between the two of them. It's just an excellent performance. I thought he blocked well. He ran his assignments correctly, and so he was the player of the game. And then defensively, Dawson Rabe has been, he's a true sophomore. He was a kid that I recruited heavily out of high school. His high school wrestling coach played for me at the University of South Dakota. So I knew about the kid for a long time, and he went out for wrestling his junior year and tore his ACL, but got to state, didn't even wrestle before. But a big, strong, physical kid. He gives us that attitude in the middle. And, boy, there's a couple of times, not only did he hold his gap, I mean, he's pushing guys in the backfield. There's a play in the second half where he took the offensive lineman in the back on the first or second drive of the second half, and they lost 5 yards. And he really set the tone for us up front. But Matt Gehring had a really nice game. Garrett Hoffman played well. Joseph Sapp played really well. There was just a lot of guys. So that was fun to see. And then special teams-wise, funny, we thought about giving it to Adonis. But Adonis was supposed to fair catch that ball in the last kickoff, and it hits the ground, and then he makes a heck of a play. So I was like, I can't give the guy the player of the game when he's supposed to fair catch it. Tristan Hoppy took one for the team on their sideline on the pop-over. We had the same issue against Mary, so we coached it up. He goes to fair catch it. The guy runs into him, so he could have got it for that. But, Nick kicked off really well into the win. He had a clutch field goal, 2 clutch field goals. And then at the end of the day, the extra points were a team effort in those misses. So, I just felt like he was the most he stood out the most as far as special teams.
Yeah, we'll go through the stats here real quickly. Total yardage-wise, USF came out on top 543 to 477. Beating Mankato on the ground game, 239 to 160. That's something that you don't see a whole lot, and I think that was kind of one of the key points to the game. Coach, you did mention that you did have more penalties than they did. That was probably the only negative here, the only real part where Mankato kind of won that battle. But the rest of them, third downs, you're about even. Both of you converted there. The only fourth down that we missed, that USF missed, was at the very end of the game there through that interception. And you talked about that earlier, but holding Mankato to missing 2 fourth down conversions in the first half was really big. And time of possession, USF kind of dominated there, 35-24. Big difference there. Camden Dean finished 17 for 25 for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also rushed the ball 16 times for 85 yards and a touchdown. Dylan Rudnigan had 15 carries for 110 yards. Carter Slakehouse had 7 catches for 147 and 2 touchdowns. Hank Brown Jr. had the 4 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. And Mark Leonard had 3 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, Garrett Hoffman, Joseph Sapp, Andy Henson, Cade Morse, Maloa Wells, and Dawson Raby, as you mentioned, all had 5 or more tackles for the coup. Brady Crawford had a quarterback sack and a forced fumble. And defensive, you had some guys in the backfield making some tackles for loss. We brought up the play with the big tackle for loss on 4th down earlier by Isaiah Ward and Matt Gehring. Crawford also had a TFL on the day. And then Joseph Sapp, Maloa Wells, and Connor Aldrich wanted to put their name up here as well because they played a heck of a game in the defensive backfield. Couple things to point out from the game on Saturday. These are career milestones, but wide receiver Carter Slakehouse has surpassed 2,000 yards receiving. He's up to 2,007 for his career. That puts him 7th all-time in receptions, 171, 8th all-time in receiving yards with 2,007. Quarterback Camden Dean is the 4th USF quarterback to surpass 1,000 career rushing yards, joining Luke Papillion, Lorenzo Brown, and my former teammate Dax Michelena in that crew. He's the 14th USF quarterback to throw for over 3,000 career yards. He's at 32.58 right now. And he's tied for 12th all-time at USF with 33 career touchdown passes. Do you know who he's tied with, Coach Glow?
Luke Papillion?
He's tied with Adam Mullen, his teammate. So that's kind of a deal. Yeah. Yep, those guys are tied right now with 33 career touchdown passes. So kind of a cool deal there. Running back Dylan Rudnigan moved into 21st all-time rushing yards at USF at 16.08. And Nick Hernandez, who we mentioned earlier, is the Atomic Wings player of the game, moved up to 17th all-time in scoring, 4th in field goal kicks with 31, and 5th in PATs for 133 for his career. So kind of some cool things that happened in the game on Saturday. In addition to the big win, had a few of those milestones, Coach.
Yeah, just really good kids. And, we all understand the history of the program. And, like I said, after the game, I certainly was a Maverick for a long time, but I'm definitely a Cougar now. And just really proud of our kids and proud. I think our alumni and our fan support was excited about that win. And I get it. Not a lot of people expected us to go up there and do that. And that's the fun part. It's always fun to be that part of it. Sometimes it's stressful when you're on the other side of that. And Coach, I can relate with Coach Hoffner. You feel like you have to win those games. That's the first homecoming game they've lost in 13 years. Now, it gets to be a lot of pressure to some degree, and pressure is a privilege. I get that, but just really proud of our kids. Happy that we're making some positive progress. We have a long way to go. We are not arrived. This game does nothing for us on Saturday. We don't get bonus points. I don't care what they did. If we sit there and say, well, they beat Concordia, so therefore we're going to beat Concordia. Ask Mankato how that worked out with Minot. They beat Minot 40-6, and then we went to their place to beat them. So Vanderbilt, Alabama, Tennessee goes and gets beat by Arkansas. It's any level. The Division II level, it happened all over the place too. Bemidji had a really tough game up at Northern State. Congrats to Northern. They're a good football team with good players too, and they lose 14-13. It's this league is crazy. It's a wide open, and the team that can focus and play consistent football week in, week out will be the winner of this league. We are at the second half of the season. There's one game separating about 10 teams. That's crazy. Call it parity, call it what you want. But at the end of the day, whoever deals with these last 5 or 6 weeks most consistently will be the team that wins the league.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the Game 7 matchup against Concordia-St. Paul. This Saturday, October 12th, you will host the Golden Bears at Bob Young Field in Sioux Falls. Kickoff scheduled for 1 o'clock p.m. You can watch on the NSIC network or listen on 98.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. or KWSN.com. 12:30 pregame show with Tom Frederick, Tim Hyatt, and Chad Birger. Coach, what do we expect to see from the Bears this week?
Well, I will say this will be, and maybe even bigger up front than St. Thomas. And St. Thomas was enormous up front, the offensive line, big tight ends, really dynamic, really dynamic run game. Jalen Richardson is a grown man. That dude is legit. He is a horse. He was a problem for us last year. He'll be a problem this year. They've added a couple other guys. Drew Anke's a big-bodied receiver from Clear Lake, Iowa. He's got the ability to body up down the field. But I'm telling you, this offensive line is enormous. The running back is legit. He runs through people. They're very good at running the football. Now, they've had a couple of different quarterbacks in and out of the lineup. I think that's hurt them as far as consistency goes. But, again, they are one game out of first place in this league. They are a second-place team in this league. So I don't care how you slice it, right? At the end of the day, they are one game out. They're 2-2. I think the league leader's got one loss. They've got 2 losses. They're one game out of first. Shannon Courier is a good friend. He's been there a long time. He's won there. He's had success there. Really familiar with some of their coaches, with Craig Stern and Jake Munkowitz. They're really good coaches. They're friends of mine. They'll have these guys ready to go. And they're not looking at anything other than the fact that, hey, we got a chance to go beat the Coup who just beat the Mavs. That's what beating the Mavs does to you. It now puts a target on your back, and we've got to be prepared. And we're back home, which is nice. I feel like we've been on the road a lot, right? For the first 6 games, we've been. I was so happy to get home at 10 o'clock on Saturday night instead of 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. But we've got our hands full, and the rest of the way we have our hands full. Our ability to refocus and to get better at the fundamentals, it has not changed. After yesterday's meeting, and again, not to be wishing my time with you guys away, but once I can get done with the talk about last week's game, then I move into Concordia full speed. We're already watching film and all that, but we're obviously doing the media stuff. You talk about the CooCast and ESPN radio and all that kind of jazz that we'll talk about Saturday's win. But as we move forward, we have to have the ability. I'm not going to go so far as call this anything other than what it is, the next game. It's the most important game. It's the only game. It's the next game. But I've been saying that for 6 weeks. It just so happened. I said that against Minot, and we didn't play very well. So it's on me as the head football coach to get our kids to prepare properly, to do the things necessary that we have to do to win. And then it's on the kids to do that on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So long-winded answer, no shock there. But, yeah, they're legit. Their running game's legit. They get downhill. He's a big back. He's a very experienced back. We'll see what the quarterback situation looks like because they've had some injuries there, which has maybe hurt them as far as consistency in the passing game. And then defensively, they move around a lot. Last week was a little bit unusual. We played a very talented team that was somewhat, you knew where they were going to line up. You knew what they were going to be, sound and schematically. And sometimes when you play teams that line move a lot and blitz a lot, they can get you. And if you're not prepared for that, they can get you in the wrong times. And then all of a sudden you're behind the sticks. And that's kind of what happened at Minot. And we can't have that. We've got to be able to have explosive plays. We've got to be able to control the clock. The recipe never changes. It never changes. It never changes. Ball control, run the football, stop the run, don't turn it over, capitalize on the red zone, stop on third down. That's it. So it's boring, it's mundane, but as I told our kids, great football teams have the ability to be consistent.
Coach, I've got I just had one note here. This is I know you're thinking right now about this game against Concordia coming up. A lot of the fans, maybe some of the radio announcers are looking ahead and saying, hey, we got Duluth coming up the week after that. Is there any potential for a trap game here with the Bears coming into Bob Young Field this Saturday?
Listen, we pay a lot of attention. I pay a lot of attention to Kalen DeBoer, a lot of respect for him and what he's doing at Alabama. And I read last week that they were putting mouse traps around their facility and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that. We don't have the budget for it, first of all. But second of all, I don't know. I guess to me, you're dealing with humans. I've said that many times. Human nature. Like I understand our kids are excited. I understand that people are telling them they're going to go to class. Professors, students are be like, "Oh, you guys beat Mankato." They're all of a sudden going to pay attention to those things. I had 170 text messages on my phone, which is awesome. I had one last week after Minot. Right? No one's saying anything to me, so I understand that. I'm older. I'm more experienced. I want our kids to understand that. If you like all the text messages and congratulatory messages, then you have to be consistent. Otherwise, you're just a woulda, shoulda, coulda type of team. So going back to our program and our culture, it's exactly what we need right now. I'm excited about this opportunity. I don't even know who's that. Who's the next game you're looking ahead to?
Duluth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like homecoming. Yeah. No, so yeah. Oh, so you got Duluth. Yeah. I don't even know who we play. I don't even pay attention. I really don't. But at the end of the day, this is what our program needs right now. Can we handle success? Last year, we didn't have a lot of success. This year, we've had a little bit of success. St. Thomas was a big win, right? The Northern game was a big win because we hadn't beaten them. They beat us by 30 last time. But then Mary and Minot show up. Bemidji, everybody can understand Bemidji. Oh, they're really good. You guys played hard, and there's a little bit of a moral victory there. Well, then you play Mary and you play Minot, and you don't play great. And I can only surmise that we probably did a poor job as a coaching staff of making the point that these guys need to be respected. Because if you don't come out and play focused football, then you didn't respect the process. So I'll put that on me, right? We got to do a better job. And believe me, that was loud and clear yesterday. It will be loud and clear tomorrow. It will be loud and clear on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And so we're going to do everything we can within our realm of possibility to prepare like we always do, which sounds crazy that you're going to prepare as well as you can to be normally prepared. But that's the nature of college football. And I've just got too much respect for the coaches in this league. And I saw there was a video with Kirby Smart at Georgia. Somebody asked him about Vanderbilt. He's like, why is nobody talking about how well Vanderbilt played? He goes, you keep talking about that. He goes, and then Greg McElroy, the former quarterback at Alabama, who's a commentator, said, I expected to turn on the film and watch an Alabama team who wasn't fired up, an Alabama team who was playing poorly and turned the ball over. He goes, I didn't see that. He goes, I saw a football team from Vanderbilt that played really well. And this league, as Kirby Smart said, it's welcome to the SEC. It's like that every Saturday. I don't know what you guys expect. But you get a soundbite where Nick Saban says, well, Vanderbilt, it's easy to get tickets to that game or something. No, they don't. It's not a hard place to play. And that's like wildfire, right? And it's not – the kids had nothing to do with that, right? So, yeah.
So we're going to put Sam on the screen here because Sam actually – show us your shirt, Sam. Sit up and show us that.
So as much as I'm going to continue to root for our alumni and my former coach, Kalen DeBoer, there is one other degree on my wall with my name on it, and it's from Vanderbilt University. And so they are my team of choice. So DeBoer's a good coach. He's going to be fine. But Coach, you made my day on Saturday, but Vanderbilt made history. And you stole my line, actually. I was going to say Kirby's line because – it was welcome to the SEC. It's hard. And you could change that to the NSIC very simply. And actually, Coach Shields said that on the NSI Weekly a couple of weeks ago. I think he's surprised at how good the football in this league is. And I think you know that. We all know that. And it's so many copy and paste quotes from Coach Saban, everybody. You talk about consistency. that's what we as fans have been seeing it, and it's been fun to see you guys put it together on Saturday. And it was fun to see my Commodores put it together on Saturday as well.
Well, and I don't think it's even as football. I think it's, my wife is a speech therapist by trade, and I'm like, did you fix every kid with a speech issue? Do you kill it every time you talk about stuttering? Do you just get everybody fixed right away? She's like, well, that's ridiculous. I said, the thing that's ridiculous is they don't put a billboard up on Main Street that says 6 stuttering kids fixed today, none yesterday. They don't do that. Or you were 0 for 4 in fixing kids today. But that's the nature of our job. But every job you need to go, to use the analogy with my wife, every kid's important because that kid's got a family and parents that want to see that young man or young girl, improve with their speech. And I want to see our kids improve. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about speech therapy. Think about being a nurse putting somebody's IV in. Whose vein do you get to choose that it's not okay to do a great job? Right? I mean, we would never say that. This guy's 70. We don't really do a good job. We don't care if we really find the vein. How do you think that guy feels or his family feels, right? So I know it sounds ridiculous, but I try to teach our kids that I don't care what you're doing in life. Every moment you have to affect somebody deserves your best. It deserves your best interest. If I'm a nurse putting an IV in, if I'm a guy changing tires, if I'm if you're an engineer, what building do you decide not to spend as much time on the foundation of the structure? Well, that's only 6 stories, so I'm not going to spend as much time. This is 20 stories, so I'm really going to commit to doing a great job on this building. That's not how it works. So there's so much carryover from football to life. And I want our kids to treat this game just like the last game because every game, every week deserves our best preparation because that's how you do it in life. So there's your PSA for the day. Congrats to you, Dr. Dooyema and the Vanderbilt Commodores. That was one hell of a win. And I appreciate you guys, and it's been a great week, and I expect us to prepare well, and we'll see what happens on Saturday.
All right. Well, thanks,
Coach. Concordia.
Yeah, I'm all fired up now.
I'm ready too. Let's get this Monday going. How
would Chad Birger feel if he went to Taco Tuesday and the guy forgot the lettuce because just another taco? You'd be very upset, would you not? Yeah, so I expect that guy at Taco John's or Atomic Wings. What if my guy at Atomic Wings didn't fry my wings as well as he's supposed to? I want him to treat every order like it's the best order. That's the only way you have a great business. So I don't know. That's how we're going to approach Saturday. And like I tell the kids all the time, man, I'm coaching this stuff, right? Nah, just kidding. But that's what I'm coaching this, right? We got to execute. Let's go, man. It's fun. But that's why it's called a game. It's not life and death. It's a game. More important things will happen down the road. Marriages, children, jobs. This is just a game. Let's use it for what it is, a teaching tool. And we had a good, successful day on Saturday, and let's try to do it again next Saturday.
All right, Coach. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up here talking about the Sioux Football Legacy Association. The CFLA's mission is to bring alumni, family, friends, and supporters together to help equip the USF football program with the resources necessary to continue its winning legacy. For more information, you can visit www.coollegacy.com or click on the QR code on the screen if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Go ahead and stop out at the tailgate party this Saturday as well, and you can visit with the Sioux Football Legacy Association members and get more information there. Tailgate party should begin somewhere around 10:30 on Saturday morning. Stop on out, find the flags, find the Sioux Football tailgate booth. Stop by, take some pictures, have a good time, have some food, and come watch the Cougars as they host Concordia-St. Paul. Until next time, I'm Chad Birger for Coach Jim Glogowski, for Sam Dooyema. We'll see you next week. Go Cougars.